it seems that anything you do today could be seen as a political motivation. Any move that you make on social media, any move that you make with your business, do you have an American flag up? Oh, that's a political motivation. Do you not have a sign up supporting this cause? That's a political motivation. You won't engage in designing this kind of cake? Well, that's all your politics. And some people have utilized that to try and destroy others. Others have seen opportunity within that to allow certain groups and certain people to flourish. And certainly amongst the political right, we have seen that boycotts have been effective. Like, for example, when you try and shove transgenderism down the throat of people who just want to drink a Bud Light. And when you tell the political right they're not welcome in certain spheres, whether it be in the marketplace or in the marketplace of ideas, because of what they believe, certainly we should all be opposed to such nonsense. Guys, welcome to the show presented by Americans for Prosperity, americansforprosperity.org, economic liberty, a free speech. That's what it's all about. That is Michael Seifert right there. And Michael Seifert saw that opportunity in the creation of Public Square. There it is right there, publicsquare.com. You can actually go to SQUARE, publicsquare.com, as opposed to just public SQ as it was before. And now it's kind of multiplying on itself because in my beloved Indiana, Michael, you are coming. There's going to be a town hall that with Congressman Jim Banks, who is the Republican candidate for U.S. Senate, and Donald Trump Jr. That is happening in Indianapolis on November 6th at the Nevermore Union Station. And you can get, you can actually show up to it and be a part of that. But first, let's start with the basics. What's going on with Public Square? How's business?
Business is booming. It's been an amazing experience building this parallel economy, and it is growing rapidly, which is truly a testament to the Americans that are fed up with the Bud Lights of the world and they're ready for alternatives. It actually gives me a great deal of hope for the future, knowing that people are not just frustrated about what is, but they're actively trying to accomplish something that's an alternative. I love that. It gives me a lot of excitement and hope about the future, knowing that the power structures of society, the profit centers, are actually shifting back toward the values of we the people, because consumers are saying, I'm not just going to boycott, I'm actually going to put my money somewhere else positive and proactive. So that's fantastic to watch. What's also pretty cool is we're coming to Indiana, as you mentioned, so that we can actually represent the voices and the values of America's small business community in the arena of politics. This will be the first of many Public Square town halls we do as we head into the election season, and we can't wait.
So let's stick with just Public Square just for a moment, because I do want to get into this town hall, because it's my backyard. These are my people. This is where I'm headquartered out of with all my programs. We have seen that people who have tried to play in the space that you are playing in, oh, well, we can't give you server space here. Oh, you can't have your app on this platform over here. You seem to have avoided those issues, or you have maneuvered them deftly. What have been the impediments that you've had to face, and what is the ability to overcome?
I'd say that we've learned from the circumstances of those that have gone before us. You know, when Parler was canceled from AWS and from the app stores, we looked very intently as to why. And we wanted to understand how we could bring on lawyers that could help us fight some of those legal battles in the event the same thing were to happen to us. And we tried to be very proactive about making sure that any of the moves that we were making were intentional and thought through, so that if we were to get hit for them, as we have many times, we would be prepared with a response. So it's all about wargaming and making sure that we are 5 steps ahead of what the adversaries to our movement may try to do. And another thing it looks like is being very honest about the cancellation risk, not denying it, and confronting it by actually making sure that we're partnering with vendors that will not cancel us. So as we've partnered with vendors over the course of this journey, in many cases, we've actually required in writing legal documentation that these vendors will not cancel us for our political views or for bad reputational press. Funny enough, although I don't know that I'd necessarily call this funny, I may regret that, but the reality is multiple vendors have said, we actually don't want to work with you. We actually might cancel you if you have a political view we don't agree with, and we're glad we know it on the front end. So we stay away from those folks. So the goal over time is to consistently build more of our own tools that we utilize in-house so that we don't even have to deal with other vendors. But to the extent we have to deal with other vendors, we are going above and beyond to make sure that our armor is impenetrable. And thankfully, it's working.
Talking to Michael Seifert, the CEO over at Public Square. First of all, having to build all your own tools is not an easy game to play. That is a capital intensive, time intensive process. But you said that this town hall was about representing small business. That town hall coming to Indianapolis. This will be on November 6th at the Nevermore Union Station. And it is going to take place not only with Congressman Jim Banks of Indiana. He's in the Indiana 3rd District, the Fort Wayne area, and he is running for Senate. And also Donald Trump Jr. Your words were this was representing small business owners. Talk me through how this town hall takes place and where does the representation come in?
It's a great question. So our platform, we have over 70,000 vendors on our platform today, and 97+% of them are small businesses. So these business owners are salt of the earth. These businesses are American owned and operated. They're run by a family. They have a story to tell, and they have served their communities faithfully. That's the business entities that we are so proud to support and represent. Unfortunately, many of the platforms today, like Amazon, have actually made it their sworn goal to essentially only elevate the businesses that can provide them the most enterprise value, which means that small businesses often get stifled and never really get a voice. The Chamber of Commerce, similar deal. The Chamber of Commerce claims to represent the voices of America's business community, but we all know that that's a farce. The Chamber of Commerce has proven to be a bureaucratic cesspool that only represents the values of the special interests. So there's a big void here. We have this incredible business community. They have a voice, they have values, they have desires that they want to see manifested in policy and in their local community decision-making. And it's well past time that their voices get to be heard on the grand stage. So what we're doing is starting the Town Hall series with folks like Jim Banks, with folks like Donald Trump Jr., so that they can actually speak to the issues and take questions from the small business community represented on Public Square.
There's a lot that's often said about chambers and how they aren't representative of all. They're representative of the largest. Do you hear that from your members?
We absolutely do. In fact, we hear it most often in reference to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, but we even hear it in different local chambers as well. It's unfortunate that the concept of a business community group that would serve the interests of its members has become distorted, because that is a really pure concept. It's a wonderful idea that you would have the different houses of finance and consumer spending and retail, et cetera, join together to make their community better. That's what the chamber should be. It's just departed so far from that original intent in many communities around the country, none more prominently than the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce claims millions of members. We know, though, that active member base is now much smaller, and they're supposed to be more of a fiscally conservative organization. We also have found that to be untrue. And so when you have a business community like ours, when we polled them last month, they said that their number one concern, more than inflation, more than high cost of goods, more than consumer spending, their number one concern is they have zero trust and faith in their elected leaders and the bureaucrats in DC. When that's their number one concern, you can see how clearly this business community needs to feel like they finally have someone at their back. That's what the chamber should be. They've left that responsibility behind, so we're going to pick it up.
Talking to Michael Seifert, the CEO of Public Square, publicsquare.com. So for first things first, for the people in the Indianapolis area or who want to take a trip, it's a lovely place. Come visit. Is there a place they can go to get their ticket?
You can actually RSVP, reach out to us at publicsquare.com. You can either email us at support at or info at. You can also show up at Nevermore Union Station, and we'll be glad to accommodate. If you reach out to us at publicsquare.com and you go to our investor page, you'll actually see an announcement there as well where you can learn more details. And we would love for folks to come and join us at the event. Let us know, too, if you'd like to. If you do sign up and you RSVP, you can actually leave a question as well so that you can have a chance for Jim Banks or Donald Trump Jr. to actually answer your question from stage. And we'd love to host the proud community of Indiana.
So you are moderating this thing, and I have done a fair amount of moderation of these types of events in my life. And while I have interviewed former President Trump before, and I speak to Congressman Banks often, I've never had a conversation with Donald Trump Jr. But you're dealing with some very type A personalities here, Michael. I didn't know if you were aware of that. I figured I'd help you at this moment and explain this to you. What is it that we can expect? What are the, is it truly a small business focused event, or is this a rah-rah vote for this candidate for president event?
That's a great question. We actually don't endorse any candidates at Public Square. So we stay out of primary races. We stay out even of general races. We do not endorse candidates or political parties. We endorse values and principles. And the values of our small business community have been forgotten and ignored for far too long. So when we have folks like Donald Trump Jr. or when we have folks like Congressman Jim Banks and they're coming together, they're speaking not as a political leader and the president's son and an elected official. They're speaking as concerned community leaders whose only agenda that evening is to make the case for why they, with their community leadership, are trying to make the business community of the United States a more prosperous environment. That's their only goal. So this is not a campaign event for Jim Banks. This is not a campaign event for President Trump. This is an opportunity for small businesses to have their voices heard by some of the leaders that we trust most on the conservative side of the political aisle.
Can you give me one question that you're going to ask? Tease us in. Let us in softly. One question that we can be guaranteed to hear at this town hall on November 6th at Union Station in Indianapolis.
The big concern right now from our business owners is inflation. Obviously, besides the lack of confidence in elected leaders, but inflation in terms of the economic challenges businesses are facing, that's the number one concern. People are really struggling with the rising costs of goods. And so we have many questions that have been lobbed that evening of how is it going to get any better under Republicans? So let's say the pendulum swings. This is a question I love. Let's say the pendulum swings and we have a conservative government. What are they going to do to curb inflation and get us out of the mess that's been created? Another great question I love is that how are we going to recover from the disastrous COVID mandates that have decimated America's small business community? What are steps we can take in our own communities to kind of pick back up the pieces because so many businesses are closed? Another great question we got, Tony, is what do we do for access to funding? So much of private equity today is robbed by the Blackstones of the world that are these sort of monolithic conglomerates that want nothing to do with the values and the interests of America's small business community. How are elected officials supposed to confront that challenge? I'll give you one more that I really loved. And this is, how do we get corporate interests out of politics so that small businesses can compete again? I love the questions. I don't know what their answers are going to be. I'm certainly curious to hear. I think this will be a pretty fun event.
Coming back to Public Square, publicsquare.com, where full disclosure, I have no financial interest in Public Square whatsoever. My father is an advertiser. He is an advertiser. His merchant services business is an advertiser over at Public Square. If I didn't say it, I'd get in trouble. I don't want to get in trouble. So the words get said. Are you finding that in this economy, people are turning to themselves and creating small businesses? Is this something that you have seen, or maybe surprised that you haven't seen?
I'm actually seeing a surprising amount of folks that are creating businesses. In fact, we know this firsthand because we have many entrepreneurs that reach out and ask for our help in creating small businesses. The parallel economy is a very enticing and exciting concept. There are a lot of young entrepreneurs that have had an idea that has recently been brewing. There's also a lot of older entrepreneurs that have had an idea for 30 years and yet they've never really executed on it. And our encouragement to folks is that the time is now. If you market your products in a way that's filled with excellence, meritocracy, integrity, and quality, you'll be amazed at the hoops that consumers will jump through, even in trying economic times, to prioritize your products and services over and above some of the corporate monopolies that we've seen these days that have special favors from the government. So we are seeing businesses start. I actually just recently spoke with a shoemaker. It's kind of a wonderful story. You haven't heard a great story like that in a while. But we have a great shoe company on the platform called John Candor. They make great leather shoes, dress shoes, casual wear. And this company reached out and they said, hey, we've got kind of a mountain ahead of us in terms of challenges to conquer. But with Public Square, we're feeling like that mountain's getting a little smaller, and we can actually overcome some of the typical hurdles of starting a small business because we have this immediate economy to press into for customer acquisition. So it's an exciting time to be a business owner if you're going back to the basics of business. If you're trying to do the whole ESG thing and the whole DEI thing, starting a business right now would be a nightmare, because you're not just having to worry about your shareholders and your customers, you're having to factor in the climate and marginalized communities and all these other things. We got to get rid of that. Got to focus on the basics. And if you do, your business will succeed. We're seeing that time and time again.
Michael Seifert, he's the CEO of Public Square. The Town Hall with Donald Trump Jr. and Congressman Jim Banks in Indiana, in Indianapolis, November 6th. You can go to publicsquare.com, click on that investor tab and learn all about it, or info@publicsquare.com, and you can get your is it tickets to attend? What we call tickets? Is that what we would call the thing?
Just RSVP. Yep. No cost. Just come and join us. No RSVP. No cost of attendance. Just come and join us. We'd love to have you there. And you can also find it at publicsq.com/events. There's a lot of ways. We try to put it out in front of a lot of different areas, so you can't miss it. If you're in Indiana, we'd love to host you.
And if you follow me over at TonyKatz.com, all the information will be there as well. We'll put it in the all the information in the comments on the Rumble page where we've got the video. Michael Seifert, I appreciate you taking the time to be with us. And my thanks to you for being with us as well and being a part of what we're doing here, the videos that we're creating, presented by Americans for Prosperity, AmericansForProsperity.org, economic liberty and free speech. This is kind of the thing that we do. Wait to see the new studio. We'll be doing it with cigars. It's going to be a dream. I tell you, it's true. I will catch you next time. Take care.